Residents have seen 2 water towers constructed in the last 2 years and have been asking why they haven't seen these structures been brought online. Well, Brian Burns has been following developments on this story. He joins us now with more on that. Brian?
Rudy, there are actually 4 water towers that are part of improvements mandated by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, but the 2 new ones that have been built are still not in operation. The 2 that have been built located at Rand Morgan and I-37 and the other one at Holly Road and Staples Street. The towers are 46 feet higher than the old ones, and once connected, they will increase water pressure citywide with 20 more pounds of pressure. But the increased pressure is the problem. Old brittle water pipes that couldn't handle the higher pressure.
July of 2018, we actually tried out our new Holly elevated storage tank. We found a few weak points in the test runs in the distribution system, so we're in the process of fixing some older infrastructure there.
2 more water towers will be built, one on Nueces Bay Boulevard, the other on Flower Bluff Drive. The old water towers at Alameda, Galahar, Morgan, and Flower Bluff Drive will be taken down once all the new towers are built and brought online. City officials say the TCEQ deadline to have all these new towers online isn't until August of 2021. As part of a 3 News Extra, we will explore what led to Corpus Christi's water woes with a full story coming up Wednesday night at 10 o'clock. Rudy?
All right, thanks, Brian.